Just to wrap up that TNA Impact result, we had Desmond Wolfe defeating the Pope, and then the band, Kevin Nash, Six Pack, and Scott Hall, they took on the team of Jeff Hardy, Rob Van Dam, the whole effing show, and Eric Young. Now, Eric Young has landed on his feet. I'm certainly happy to see one of the TNA originals arriving in a good spot. I mean, finally we've got Scott Hall. He's really there every week now. He's not missing shows. He's a good worker. And even just to see him last week saying, I'm back, he really is back. It's great.
Yeah, I think he must have had some kind of talking to, or else he just genuinely has chilled it out a bit, because that last call with Scott Hall gives a real insight into him, I suppose, outside the ring, and when you're not being worked as you are most of the time by TV tapings and promos and whatnot. If anyone hasn't seen the last call with Scott Hall on YouTube, check it out. It's kind of a behind the scenes buzz with Hall and Waltman for the most part, just doing some crazy everyday stuff and being backstage and stuff, and it's really cool. But yeah, I think it's great having him back, and he doesn't look too out of shape, and he's certainly, really making an effort with this. I think he knows he's in a good spot, and it's probably going to be his last time to shine, really. And all the better to him. I think good decision to keep him on as well.
I think so, and it's probably a great time now for Kevin Nash and Six Pack and Scott Hall, certainly to all be back together and to be back on TV again and back wrestling. I'm certainly very happy to see that Scott Hall is indeed showing up, and I think being kept on the straight and narrow by his good friends. And indeed, certainly Scott Hall deserves to be back up there, if anybody does, to sort of bring that star power that we know TNA is currently delivering, and certainly I think Scott Hall a very big part of that.
Yeah, I think so too. And he was well over when he was in his Razor Ramon days, and he was well over in the NWO and WCW days too.
Now we're going to talk about this week's Ring of Honor Big Bang pay-per-view. It took place last night, and Go Fight Live broadcast that event. You can check it out for just $15, and indeed you can get that replay. It was a fantastic buzz to have Ring of Honor live on TV over here in Ireland, and wow, I mean, what a great service it is, and what a cheap price. They gave over 4 hours of wrestling that night. We both watched it and pretty much loved every match. We're going to let you know exactly what happened. Now, of course, as I mentioned last week, Kevin Kelly is back as the internet pay-per-view commentator. I did feel that Kevin Kelly got a little bit drowned out. Kevin Kelly calling the pay-per-view. The stream quality on Go Fight Live was good, not perfect. It could be better. Certainly, I was offered just one level of connection that would be a medium stream. Certainly not any better than perhaps one of the good Justin.tv streams, but indeed you are paying for it, and indeed it does help Ring of Honor to get these pay-per-view buys. Now, we started off the night with Shatter versus Tex Salvation, both these guys from NWA New Beginnings. Now, Shatter beat on Salvation for almost the entire match. No punches pulled by the ROH crowd, as well as indeed Shatter botched a move, and the crowd, well, they made him pay for it.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt that they let him know all about that one. Some of the most hardcore fans across North America, that anytime they do house shows, Ring of Honor fans are, they know their stuff.
Yeah, they had the chant of "you effed up," basically, and Shatter didn't let it put him off at all. Shatter eventually defeating Tex Salvation. Salvation eventually countered with a chokehold until Shatter hit him with the post-traumatic stress disorder to finish that match. Certainly those guys in NWA New Beginnings. There's another one. We could be missing a trick. Should we be watching that as well?
Yeah, I think we'll cut it with Superstars. I think that's probably enough TV for a week. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
NWA New Beginning, certainly try and find it. I think I've seen one or two clips from it before, and indeed, yeah, it's got some good production. And yeah, if there's any of that available out there, do indeed check it out. Now, as I said, that was Tech Salvation versus Shatter. Next up on the card, it was Kenny King versus Davey Richard in that Pick 6 Series match. Now, Jim Cornette picked some guys back in 2009, and he basically said the result of this series would end up in a title shot for the eventual winner. Now, Davey Richards came out on top in this match against Kenny King. Certainly, I thought Kenny King was like a young Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, both of those guys are terrific. I think Davey Richards is one to watch. I can see him doing some serious business, and one of the best indie stars out there without a doubt. And same, yeah, Kenny King. I mean, we saw the TV title tournament and what he's capable of doing, and yeah, terrific across the board, both guys.
Davey Richards defeating Kenny King. Davey Richards was left in the ring, and indeed there was a shocking surprise after that match as Christopher Daniels, the fallen angel, he walked right in there and told the Ring of Honor crowd that he was going to be a fixture in the upcoming months.
Yeah, I did not see that one coming, and apparently we're here now. He's been released from TNA, and what a huge mistake on their behalf. I mean, Daniels is up there with the best of them, from Brian Daniels to you know, pretty much any of the Tyler Blacks or whatever. He's right up there, and he's going to be I mean, how in God's name they can keep people like, I don't know, Doug Williams around there, you know, no offense to him, but even Orlando Jordan, who hasn't got much left in the tank, you know, keep those guys around and let somebody like Daniels go. I mean, there could be more to this story, but you know, I think he's one of those kind of true professional wrestlers, and probably has had enough of the bullshit and stuff in TNA, and maybe just might have been his own choice. Who knows? It's a bit early to speculate, but we saw Sheikh Abdul do the same thing, and maybe it's the same thing for Daniels. You know, he just wants to get back to his roots and do what he does best.
Yeah, Sean Davari debuting a few weeks ago, another TNA refugee, if you like, no longer a part of that company, and indeed finding a home on Ring of Honor on HD Net. No sign of him on the pay-per-view, probably a bit early to get him involved, but Christopher Daniels really gave that pop of the night when he walked out. Amazing to see how he can look such a huge star. When you bring him back to a smaller building, and a crowd like Ring of Honor really appreciate when somebody comes back, and indeed it was a big shock to see the Fallen Angel and Kevin Kelly putting it over like crazy, as he should. Now, the Butcher's Rules match, Eric Stevens took on Necro Butcher. Necro Butcher, an indie favourite, and indeed kind of got that hardcore style, a bit like a Mick Foley, but indeed certainly he worked a very fun match. Both those guys in and out of the ring, and indeed in and out of the stands. It went all over.
Yeah, the Necro Butcher is the king of the spots, and pretty brutal at the same time, and always kind of pretty fun to watch. I mean, sometimes it gets a bit whatever. I mean, we've seen it, but kind of does bring I suppose what we're missing in a lot of ways back to the business, and that's the real putting it over. Not so much the wrestling factor, but wrestling as a whole, and that it's not just all mat skills and whatever. That you can have some fun with it too and take it elsewhere. But yeah, talk about spots. I mean, that guy's got him.
Yeah, Outsiders KO 420. He says we don't have a clue what we're talking about, to put it nicely, but certainly we are indeed fans, and thanks for your comment. We certainly do take it on board, and then it goes out the other end and we don't ever think about it again. But certainly ROH Big Bang, a great night. Like I say, I did enjoy how every match on the card was different. You had just that sort of feel where each match is something unique.